everybody. I am here with my friend Gilad, and we are talking about virtual assistants or VAs. I know I posted this earlier, and Debbie was asking, she said, what's a VA? So some of you might not even know what a VA is, but you're going to find out today. VAs are magical. They're magical people that can really help you grow and scale your business. And today I'm going to be talking with Gilad about actually scaling your business specifically on the Amazon side. So what VAs you can use on the Amazon side of your business. I don't like to call it an Amazon business. Amazon is a sales channel, not a business. Well, it used to be a business for Jeff Bezos, right? But we definitely, every sales channel, every major sales channel that we have to work that platform, right? So whether they're selling on Amazon or Walmart or in retail, we usually will have a dedicated team to that platform to do it really, really well. And so today we're going to talk about what are the types of virtual assistants we can hire to help us in our Amazon with our Amazon sales channel, and what kind of things will they be doing, and how do we scale that, and can we find already trained virtual assistants specifically for Amazon? That's one of the biggest questions I get, and the answer is yes. And that's why it's so great to have Gil on today, because he's got that skill set handled. So Gil, welcome so much, and thank you so much for being here. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about you?
So first of all, Amy, thanks for having me. It's great to be here, and you know what? It is a bit misleading because people say, virtual assistants, are these robots? Is this like something, like a chatbot or something like that because it's virtual, But we're gonna find out exactly. I mean, we're talking about people. We're talking about little people that will help your Amazon business, and they could do magics, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about. And yeah, so my name is Gil or Gilad. I mean, you can use both. And I'm from Israel. I've been selling on Amazon since 2015. Started there, private label, and been working with VA since 2016, and created VAA Virtual Assistant Academy in 2017. So that's what we do. We specialize in virtual assistants from the Philippines. We filter them and train them specifically so they could help Amazon sellers.
Amazing. Yeah, I just love companies that take virtual assistants and provide them that training, because as a new business owner, it's hard sometimes to figure out not only how to trust someone with a task. You want to wear all the hats in the beginning, and you have to, right? In the beginning, you kind of have to wear all the hats so you can figure things out. But in the beginning as well, when it's time to scale, you have to start taking off some of those hats, because you realize that you're never going to grow if you keep all the hats on, and it gets heavy. So I think one of the hardest things is actually delegation, number one, and number two, training someone. That's so hard to do. It's so hard to just, how do you know what to train them on? How do you know how to hold them accountable? So when you have companies like yours that have already trained them in these skills using some of the top courses that are out there, this at least helps the business owner out, right? Because then they can, trust that the skills that these VAs have that you've trained them on are a good baseline. And then if they want to add on and say, well, for our company, we do social media a little bit like this or like that, right? But it's just so good for them to have those baseline expectations handled along that line. So how did you, Gila, get into, did you hire your own VAs when you were selling and realize that this was just a really great skill to have and a really great need for others?
Well, actually, yeah, it didn't go, as optimistic as you describe it. It started actually as my own personal need. I started this business together with my wife. We founded a private label company that's specializes in outdoor equipment. And at 2000, in 2015, things grew very fast, and sooner or later we realized that, like you said, you cannot have all these hats, and we realized that, if we want to scale and do it fast enough, then we have to hire a virtual assistant. And I was looking for a lot of information, listening to many podcasts, and reading a lot, and I realized, okay, this is what I need to do in order to find my first virtual assistant. And I posted an ad hoping that somebody will answer, and guess what? Somebody did, but it was like 300, 400 people answered. And the problem was that they all, said that they are super experts. They have experience of 10 years doing, Amazon business, and they all looked really qualified. And then, I interviewed, I think, like 50 or 60 of them. So hours. We're talking about hours of, communication and the time spent on that, and I managed to filter them to, finding the right VA, the perfect match. I was sure that she's going to be my VA for years to come, and I found it. I managed to crack the code, and and then I trained her. Then I trained her on everything I knew about Amazon. It took me like a month of training, and about a month later, she just disappeared. She stopped answering my emails. She poofed. That nothing. And till this day, I have no idea what's going on with her. And I was really frustrated. I started contacting, number two and number three on the list, but they were not available anymore. And then I have to restart everything from the beginning, which was really frustrating. And it happened almost the same way with the second VA. The second VA I hired, it took a little bit longer, and she did not disappear, but she started to give me all these excuses of typhoon here, and electricity problem there, and problems with the family, and but eventually it did not work. And the more I did it, I realized that I was not the expert that I thought I was. I'm doing mistakes, and I did not know how to hire VAs, and I did not know how to filter them. The things that I thought that were super important then, turned out to be not relevant, and to finding somebody who will stay with you for years to come, who's motivated, who's dedicated. And these are the things that I learned. And when I understood that there are so many people out there that they just think that it's so easy to find a VA and it's so easy to work with them. You need to know, it's a skill. You have to understand how to work with them. You have to understand how to find them. And that's where VAA started. We started filtering virtual assistants, and gaining more and more experience into knowing how to find the right ones, the right people that will stay with you for years, that are full of motivation and capabilities. And more important is how to make them stay with you. And this is something we're going to talk about here. We're going to talk about why VAs are so important to your business, how to use them on the right way, communication wise, and managements, and which type of VAs you will actually need in order to run an Amazon business. So this is actually what we're going to talk about here.
Amazing. I'm so excited to specifically get into this. Every time I do a Tip Tuesday, I ask my special guests to pick one aspect that is really important and that people really want to learn. And Gilad gave me 3 options to choose from. And one was kind of more general, and the second one was specifically for Amazon. How do you hire and work with VAs? And I know that that's a question I get all the time. And it's a question I see in all the Facebook groups. So I asked Gil to come talk about this specifically today. So I'm so excited about this. Let's get into it. And I want to hear from you guys. What has been your biggest struggle? Feel free, put it in the chat. I love to hear from you on that. I know John Serafano said he has had a designer of 7 years from the Philippines, and that designer is top notch. Love to hear it. And David is saying that this is really good stuff that he needs to hear. And I just want to say hello to Tim Windsor as well. Tim, thank you so much for tuning in today. So we want to hear from you guys. If you have questions throughout the presentation, feel free to throw them in chat. And yeah, let's get into it. So did you want to share your screen?
Yeah, sure. So let me share my screen. Hold on a second. Here it is. Do you see my screen?
Yes. So we've got
right.
building a team of VAs. Awesome. And just before we start, I asked how many of you have had a VA disappear on you, and David said, this has not happened to me, but I vet mine pretty severely. That is what I find to be so frustrating. It's why I have not hired more than one or two, and most of them for specific time limited projects. So I'm sure Gilad's going to have some tips for us on that. David, thank you so much for sharing that struggle.
Yeah, so I'll definitely touch on that, and you can see from the title it says, building a team of VAs for an advanced Amazon business, but actually the what I'm going to talk about is not only for advanced sellers. You have to have already a certain amount of sales and budget in order to hire VAs, and definitely if you want to hire a team of VAs. But it's even if you're just starting your way on Amazon, it's something that I think if I knew the things that I'm going to talk about now, if I knew them from the start, then it would save me a lot of time and effort later on. So I think it's also for newbies that are just starting their Amazon business, but they can already think ahead and see where they want to scale it. So this is what we're going to talk about, and I'm going to start with a question that I'm hearing quite a lot, and it always makes me upset. And the question is like, somebody comes to me and say, why do I need a VA? I'm currently doing everything myself and it works fine. And you touched on that, Amy, before, with the working with all these hats, and I see that it's something that's happening specifically on online businesses, on e-commerce. And it's something that did not happen before e-commerce was invented, let's say, and before people used to do everything from their computer. Because if you're going to go backwards and think of the old, let's call it the old world, when somebody opened a business, and that business could be anything, it could be a restaurant, for example. So if you're opening a restaurant now, and let's say that you already have the experience on opening a restaurant, you already know what you need, then the first thing that you would do as a future owner of a restaurant would be to invest money in it. You would know from the beginning that you would need to hire a chef, and you would need to hire a server, and you would need to hire a bookkeeper, and all these things, they're so obvious to us that we're not going to open a restaurant and cook the food and in the same time serve it. It's so obvious to us. We're going to invest a lot of money into before even the first client. We're going to invest in renting a place and hiring all these people without even getting the first plate ordered. And it looks to us like the right thing to do, because we understand that in order to grow, you have to delegate, you have to give, you cannot do everything yourself. And the problem here that I see more and more on e-commerce is that suddenly in these courses, and I'm all for courses. I've started my way in doing online courses about Amazon, but we learn how to do everything ourselves. We learn how to do customer service. We learn how to use all the possible features on Seller Central. We learn, and we know that we can do shipment plans, and we can and we can find the right products ourselves, and who if not us is going to deal with the Chinese supplier, for example, on Alibaba, and ask all the right questions. So we think that only us as the owners of the business can do it, and that's a huge mistake in my opinion, because once you doing everything yourself, then eventually there is a limit to your capability of growth. And you will find it sometimes when it's too late, because we're not we're selling on Amazon is something that there's a time frame for you to grow, and you cannot stay in the same place and grow slowly slowly, because otherwise your competitors will bypass you. So you need to advance, you need to grow. And there is even a name for it on e-commerce. They call it the Superman syndrome. And the Superman syndrome pretty much looks like this. This is how you see yourself as a super solo entrepreneur who's doing everything by himself, doing customer service because only you know how to answer your customers, and dealing with your suppliers, like I said before, and managing cases with Amazon, and finding the right products, and doing your PPCs and posting on social media, and on and on and on. But there are two problems with this syndrome. One is that the more you grow and the more products you have, you're going to see that it's impossible for you to do everything. So then you're starting slowly to round the edges. You're going to, if you started and looked at your PPC every single day, making sure that, all the bids are right, then after on the second and third product, you're going to do it, every second day and every third day. And without noticing it, you're going to do it every 2 weeks and every month. And you're going to not have the time to look at the reports anymore, and not adding new keywords, and all the things that means growth that you did on product number one. Suddenly you're not doing that anymore. You're not looking at at your listings every day or several times a day. Sometimes I see, it's funny, I look sometimes at listings on February or March, and I see over there the first bullet point that says, a special deal for Christmas. So you see these people, they don't have the time, or that, or they are not checking their listings on a daily basis because they're doing other things. So you suddenly see that you cannot handle it all, which damages your business. And the second thing that will happen, and this is usually what happens after about a year of doing Amazon, is that you're starting to get tired. And you're starting to get tired because you're doing everything yourself, and it takes more and more efforts from you. And you're starting to realize that you're not doing management. You're not doing you don't have the time to do the high level, looking from above and taking the management calls. You're actually spending most of your time in answering customers or dealing with the negative review. And then suddenly things are getting frustrated. You see a negative review, and instead of seeing it as an opportunity to contact somebody, to let's say that you have the option to contact them, to communicate with them, to replace an order, or to give them something in return, and change this into an opportunity, change this into a positive review, and a recommendation from other people. You start to see, oh no, I got another email, another message, another a negative review, or, and you're starting to be tired from it. And what happens is that the Superman that started this business here became that Superman after a year. And that's what we're trying to avoid, where you want to keep being your Superman of your business, but it doesn't mean that you have to do everything yourself. And that's what we're going to talk about here. And if I have to think of the main things that a VA could help your business, so I would divide them into several points. The first one is your VA could help you with all the work that must be done on a daily basis. Think of all the things that your Amazon business needs to be done every day. Otherwise, your business will collapse. For example, if you're getting a negative review, then you just have to reply and do something about it. We have the opportunity now. Amazon allowed us again to reply to 1 or 2 or even 3-star reviews. So we're gonna do it. If we're not gonna do it, then we're gonna get punished by the sales. So that's something that we have to do. If somebody is writing us a message, we know that we have 24 hours to reply. So these are things that must be done on a regular basis, and that's something that your VA should be doing for you. Okay, the way I see it is that I always look at what I should give to my VAs to do. Is I ask myself the question: is this task is meant only for me to be done? As the owner of the business, are these high level decisions that only I can make, and only I can take, or this is something that somebody else, with the right training, with the right the perfect VA can do for me. And if the answer is yes, somebody else could do it, then I delegate. This is something that you have to ask yourself all the time: are you doing things that only you can do, or you're basically doing everything in your business, including things that somebody else with the right training, with the right attitude, with the right capabilities can do for you? And if the answer is yes, delegate it. That's one thing. The second thing that a VA can help you with is what we call advanced work that you would normally postpone. Okay, so when I'm talking about postponing things, it's not the everyday things that could get you suspended, or could hurt your business, but it's more the work that you always wanted to do, but you just never get there. You always wanted to have an active Facebook page, and posting things over there to your audience, but you never had the time to do it. So you try here, you try there, and then in the end, the result is like a post once in 3 weeks. So it's not consistent, and so that's the advanced work that you would postpone. But imagine that you have somebody that in her or his entire purpose is to post on Facebook for you. Then it would look completely different. So think about all the things that you're postponing. I always wanted to watch this webinar that will teach me something in a high level, but I never got the chance to do it. Not just to listen to the or to watch the podcast or the webinar, but also to apply the things that I'm going to learn from there. All these things, are things that a VA could help you with your business. The third point I wrote down is, giving you the freedom to manage your business instead of working in it. And this is something super important. Like I said before, ask yourself the question: are you doing it because you have to, or are you doing it because this is what you're meant to do? And when I'm saying managing your business, I'm not referring to this. This is not about laying on the beach and with a computer which is shut down in the picture anyway. And I took it from some kind of a cheap sales funnel that existed like 2 3 years ago. So I'm not talking about this. The idea is not that you'll step aside and having somebody manage your business. The idea is that you are the one managing your business, but you're not working in your business. You're working on it from above, managing the people to do the different tasks, and that is the only option that you could actually do it. And the fourth point I mentioned, sorry about that. So the fourth point is selling your business, which has become more and more crucial in the last year or so. We see more and more aggregators that are interested in buying your business. Now, which business is more likely to be sold? A business who is completely dependent on one entrepreneur, the owner of the business, who is doing everything himself or herself. And if that person, the owner, would step aside, then nothing is done. Nothing is, nobody knows how to find the right products. Nobody knows how to manage the everyday work on the business. Is this more likely to be sold, or a business who is based on a team of VAs that everybody has their tasks, everybody, they're working like a machine, an oiled machine, and everything is functioning over there in a way that the owner of the business could actually step aside, having somebody else coming in and managing that old machine. So that's something that would, first of all, help you sell your business, and second of all, will multiply it, the amount of that you can get for your business. So this is something not to do when you want to sell your business. This is something to start applying way before that, when you're starting to think about, if your plan is exit, if you want to exit your business, start thinking about it now. So these are the 4 points I mentioned. And taking this, we're going to go to the next step, and that's, let's talk about Amazon. And I mentioned over here four types, sorry, of VAs that we're gonna talk about that you should manage as an owner of the team. Bear in mind, this is a small team. We're talking about only 4 VAs. Obviously, if your business is bigger than that, and then you would see almost the same structure, but the Amazon VA would already become a division, and inside a division you will have departments, the logistic department, and the customer service department, and under each department you will have several VAs, but the idea would be the same. So I tried here to mark down 4 different types of VAs that an average intermediate to business should inspire to. Now, if you're just starting your business and it's really like the beginning, then you should maybe focus on one. Maybe you should give several tasks to one VA. But in my experience, that's something that is that will work the best. So we're going to talk about each type of VA specifically on Amazon, and see which tasks they could help you with, which do not require you specifically to work. And we'll start with the Amazon VA. So with the Amazon VAs, there are several tasks that I would say are super important to give to your VA instead of you doing it all by yourself. The first thing I would start is by doing customer service. Now, I know that people come to me and say, okay, I'm the only person that knows how to do customer service. I know my product, I know it's my own responsibility. But you mentioned Jeff Bezos, so let's start. Let's start with Jeff Bezos. He's not doing customer service. CEOs of businesses, they do not do all the customer service themselves. It has to stop somewhere if you want to grow. And yes, your VA on day one will not be able to think the same way as you. It's something that your VA will grow into. So you're going to work together until that VA will know how to understand your business, understand your customers, and answer in the right way to your customers. But this is something super important that to take off from you in order for somebody to all this time and effort should be done by somebody else. It doesn't mean that you should not be aware of what's happening, what's going on. Your VA can definitely report you what's going on, so you know about every complaint or things. But it doesn't mean that you have to do it yourself. When I'm saying customer service, it's not just about answering messages. It's also about inspiring to get more reviews. Contacting people in order to ask for reviews. I've actually given a lecture about a month ago, specifically on how to use VAs in order to get reviews. It's a more complex concept, using ManyChat and in order to get the email address and the phone number of your customers. But if we cut to the last step, then once you have the phone number and email address of your customers, then an Amazon VA is definitely there, to call your customers, to make sure that you're giving them the extra mile. I'm not talking about just calling them to ask for a review. I'm talking about calling them in order to make sure that they're happy with their product, giving them some tips and advice of how to use the product correctly, going over complaints and things that people are asking about your product, and already calling them in advance to tell them which mistakes to avoid or how to better use your product. So when they are asked by Amazon to leave a review with the request a review button, then they are already connected to you much more than without using the services of a VA. So that's something that I see big companies using all the time. Using VAs for customer service, engaging with their customers in order for them to give the extra mile, give them a gift, give them a warranty, give them the extra value in order to get more and more reviews on regular basis. So that's that I would be happy to talk about this on a specific on different time, or if somebody has questions, I'll be happy to answer later on. But that's just one point of the work of the Amazon VA. The second one is obviously managing your inventory, checking the level of your inventory, making sure that all your listings they're on and active, managing your shipments and creating shipment plans, working with your suppliers on that. async management, I mean, somebody checking your listings on daily basis, making sure that all your reviews, the top reviews are the ones that you aimed for, and no negative reviews suddenly filtered in. All the Q&A are the right Q&A that you wanted to appear over there, that your ASIN is active, obviously, that you have enough inventory, and all the checking them, creating the listings, optimizing them, checking your indexings, all the work on everyday work on your ASINs. That's what I call ASIN management. The fourth point and the fifth point here is inventory reconciliation and claim management, and sourcing for products and suppliers. Yes, a VA can help you find new products to launch. It doesn't mean that your VA is going to be the one taking the decision whether or not you should go for it or not. But the VA could definitely help you in doing all the research, checking for the criteria that you want them to, checking for main keywords, checking for problems with the products, checking for your competitor, doing a competitor research for you, checking what people are complaining about, what they're asking about, in order to find that edge, to create something better. Working with your suppliers, finding for you the right suppliers, filtering them, and getting all the quotes and all that. So that's definitely something for an Amazon VA. And of course, cases with Amazon. That's just for that I would take a VA, somebody staying on the phone with them, talking to them. A lot of times there are Filipinos talking to Filipinos, so you can they're managing to get things done way better than I do, and they're doing it for me in order to say to solve sometimes even complicated cases. So All of these things are things that an Amazon VA could help you with. And there is a full list of things over here. There's a full list of things that we're training them more than that. But I just wanted to give you here an idea of how much time could be saved if somebody is doing it for you. And I think you should ask yourself the question, not just if somebody else did it for you, is are you even doing it at the moment? Is Are you doing everything that I mentioned now, or you're just doing the, like I said before, the things that must be done, and not else? Is somebody checking your listings on a regular basis? Are you actually opening cases for a lost inventory? And are you doing customer service correctly, and calling your customers, or or trying to interact with them? All these things you have to ask yourself, and that's exactly why when delegating correctly, your business can grow, because these are things that you could not just take off from yourself, but having somebody do it for you, things that you did not do until now. The second type of VA that I'm going to talk about is PPC VA. Now, a PPC VA should be filtered differently. We're not looking for the same type of person to do customer service or to find products to launch compared to a PPC VA. A PPC VA would have to be somebody with a high level of a technical type of person, or a mathematical way of thinking, all about numbers, excels, analyzing data, and that's the way you should filter that person. And their job is going to be to focus specifically on Amazon PPC. So that includes, obviously, all the bids optimization, ACOS management, working on your existing campaigns, doing keyword research constantly, not just one time and that's it, but always checking what else should be done. Understanding the different reports, and taking from them the keywords that should be put into negative, into exact, and working on your campaigns nonstop on the go, making sure that you don't have bids that are suddenly jumping to get you losing a lot of money in one day. Somebody really with their eyes on your PPC. And obviously, yes, using all the new features that were released in the last year or so, product targeting and sponsored display. These are things that did not exist before, and a lot of sales are not using them. But if you are brand registered, then you should definitely do it. But it takes time and effort from somebody to do it on a regular basis, and this is definitely something that a PPC VA should be there to help you. It doesn't mean that you should not know PPC. It's something. I think it's something super important. In general, I think that having a VA does not mean that you should just let it go and having people doing it for you and saying, I don't really know how to find the good products to launch, so let's have a VA to do it for me. That would not work. The same thing with PPC. I'm not really sure how to do PPC, so I rather having a PPC VA to do it for me. The best way to work with VAs, in my opinion, and from my experience, is that when you know how to do things yourself, when you've done them yourself, when you have the experience of doing things yourself, you know how much time it takes, you know how much effort it takes, and you've came to the conclusion that it's not supposed to be you to do it. Somebody else, like I said, should be doing it for you, and then you hire a VA. So now your work with them is as a team, working as a team, getting reports from them, understanding exactly what they are doing, give them instructions, and working together with them, sometimes even correcting them on their work, but understanding exactly what they're doing. And that's the best way to do it. Yes, there are ways to work with VAs on things that you've never done before. I do it all the time, but I do it from already a different perspective. I already know exactly which VAs I'm going to use for that, and I already know their capabilities, and I know that I can trust on them, and I know how to work with them in order to see that they actually learned and studied a new thing that I have no idea about. And then they report to me and they show me, and sometimes they even teach me how to do it. But it's not something that I would recommend you to do if you're just starting your way with VAs. So said. Having said that, that's what we're talking about, the PPC VA. The third type of VA is the social media VA. Now, this is a bit different because we're not talking about actually involving in Sales Central. We're talking more about creating the brand awareness outside of Amazon, and we see more and more that brand are here to stay. And if you're not a brand, if you're not developing your brand awareness, and Amy, like you said before, Amazon is just another platform. But you have to, if you want to grow your business, then you have to think of it as a business by itself. So you have to start nurturing your social media. And so I'm not talking about creating Facebook ads. I'm talking about creating brand awareness by regularly creating and managing your Facebook page, Instagram page, Pinterest pages. If you have private groups, then this is a perfect work for a social media VA. Also here, the social media VA will have a different character compared to the Amazon VA and the PPC VA. Here we're looking for somebody really creative with a great English in expressing themselves, a great way to express themselves in writing in English, and somebody who really loves social media. You can check their profile and see how active they are. Somebody who really breathe and live social media, and that's the person that you're looking for. So it's really different from a PPC type of person. And this is why a lot of time I'm not really in favor of having one superhero VA doing everything for you. Because just having one VA to that person, I will hire her and she will do my PPC and my social media and my Seller Central and customer service and so on. It's a problem, because nobody's you cannot have the perfect person to do everything for you, and then basically there's no speciality. I prefer to work with VAs even on limited amount of hours. So you can hire a social media VA for even 2 hours or 3 hours a day instead of a full-time job, but that person is going to be specializing on your social media. So we talked about creating and managing your accounts on social media. Influencers is something that's becoming huge for Amazon sellers. I'm talking about, first of all, understanding that you have to work with them, understanding that how to find these influencers, how to I'm talking about micro influencers, to understand that you need to find them, you need to work with them, you need to understand if these influencers are the right people for you. Looking at their previous posts or videos, understanding that these are the right people that you want to hire and working with you, and then contacting them or working on a deal and working after that
Gilad,
with. Yes, I'm here.
we have a question from Debbie
Oh,
coming
sorry.
in. No, it's okay.
Yeah.
She's wondering, she said, I'm interested in paying a VA to teach me as well as do the job. Is that something that people do?
So it goes pretty close to what I said before. I'm using it a lot. I'm sending my VAs to watch webinars for me, and then teach me of what they learned and give me a report about it. But I would not, we have to understand that VAs, virtual assistants, they are here to assist us. So assisting us, it means that it's not a mentor. It's not somebody who was already working as an entrepreneur, who already opened his or her Amazon account and already have the experience of taking high level decisions with her or his money. So I would not count on a PPC VA, for example, to teach me about PPC without knowing anything about PPC. I would invest time and money into learning it myself with a course or a mentor, and then I would know how to work with a VA. But I am using VAs for these type of watching webinars from me, summarizing reports, and things like that, so I can learn new things. I have a VA who is constantly looking on all the different podcasts and channels on Amazon in order to see what's new, so we can learn always what's happening, and we can teach our VAs about it. So I have a VA who's constantly teaching me about what's new, and she's doing the research and giving me this information.
And
But yeah.
I do the same thing. Like my assistant, I have her. The other day, I took a course first on hiring and
Hmm.
on this specific hiring process. And I wanted to implement it into my own SOP, but I didn't have time to watch the whole course again. So I was familiar with it and I knew that I wanted to utilize it, but I didn't have the time to watch the whole thing and kind of put it in a checklist. So I had her watch it again for me and write up a checklist of the steps so that I could quickly go over them and implement them in my own business. So I agree that it's really important to not count on them to necessarily teach you, but you can count on them. I also had her look at Lunch with Norm. Norm had this podcast where he interviewed somebody about setting up Google My Business. And so I had her go back and watch that and then write up a checklist of what we needed to do to get our business set up on Google My Business. So that's the way that I would also recommend using, just like you did, Gilad, recommending using VAs to, hey, save me some time, watch this video in a more in-depth way, write me up some steps so that I can then take it and implement it.
Exactly. So that's really what the best way that I think you should be utilizing your VA. So you keep learning, by the way. In the same time, you keep learning and progressing, and you're not left behind, and you're actually involving your VA in this process. So your VA is progressing together with you.
Got it. And Debbie also wants to know, what is the price point we are talking about? And that's always going to depend, Debbie, on the type of person that you're hiring and the level of experience you want them to have. I'm sure that, and also where they live. You know, if you're hiring from the Philippines, you might be able to get a college educated, English speaking person that can do the job for what it costs you, for even less than it costs you to pay minimum wage in America. But it just depends what you're looking for. And so you always have to keep those different elements in mind. What do you say about that, Gil? What should she expect to spend?
Yeah, I completely agree. We're not actually, when we're looking for VAs, we definitely are not looking for the cheapest type of VAs. Yes, you could find, and you can see it on Facebook, and people saying, I have a VA, I'm paying her $2 an hour, and and she's perfect, and doing everything for me. From our experience doing it already for over 4 years now. We're not looking for the cheapest type of VAs, because first of all, like you said, we need them to have the capabilities. We need them. There is a difference between somebody who's going to be doing your social media or PPC and is coming from a background of understanding learning and doing mathematics and that type of person, compared to somebody doing customer service. So there are differences in their rates in here. We are always looking for VAs that are coming from an education point, a high level of education. All our VAs, for example, they have a degree. It's in the university, I mean, and it means that we can trust them that they are looking for a job for the long run. They're not just looking for a minimum wage job until they find something else, or and or studying. So yeah, but it's still, like you said, it's going to be still very affordable compared to any job in the in the US or Europe.
Yeah, I mean, it's about half the rate. So, on the high end, if you're hiring from the Philippines, you're looking at, and this is for executive level, somebody that could basically be an operations manager, you're looking at anywhere from 12 on the low end to 20 on the high end for a very high level executive position. And
Right.
then on, just a regular administrator position, you're looking at anywhere from $3 on the low end to $7, $8, $9 on the higher end for an administrator type position. So I don't want to interrupt. We're 44 minutes in, and so I want to give you plenty of time to finish up talking about each of these positions. So let's take it away.
Okay, so we talked about influencers. The third point is something that has started about a year and a half ago, but has grown to become super important for sellers, for brands on Amazon. That's Amazon Post. If you do not know anything about it, then obviously you should go and look it up. It's still free. Amazon is providing you with a lot of metrics. You can see the views, the clicks, and you can optimize your campaigns. It looks like you have your own Facebook inside of Amazon, and the best thing is that it will not just appear on your listings, it will appear on your competitors' listings, which is basically like having PPC campaigns but for free. So definitely something that the social media, our social media VAs are taught on, and they're using it all the time. So these I mean, that's about the different types of VAs. I did not mention graphic designers, because I would not want to waste to go deeper into that. But obviously graphic designers are meant to do graphic designs in infographics, creating short videos for your video ads, white background scenery, things like that. So it's always good to have somebody as a part of your team. That person should not necessarily going to be working for you every day, 5 hours a day, but you should have that person working for you on project based when needed. Now these are questions that I'm asked a lot, so I'm gonna touch on that. Okay, I'm gonna have a team of VAs or even one VA working for me. How should we communicate? How should we interact with our VAs? And the first option that comes in mind is whatever is convenient to you. I use WhatsApp on the everyday work with my VAs. Yes, there are more high level platforms like Slack, for example. I'm going to touch on that. But on my everyday work, when I'm walking the dog in the morning, I'm recording messages on WhatsApp for my senior manager. That's the way. It's the most easiest way for me. Obviously, Skype is still out there and is still very common in the Philippines. Google Hangouts, but if you want to use if you already have a team of VAs, then you can use Slack. It's very common, and it's really built for working with a team of remote workers. You have a free version of it that it's really, you can use it for years actually, without even going to the paid version. And it looks pretty much like this. You can, it's like WhatsApp for different tasks and different, you can see here that you can have your social media channel and the HubSpot channel and the team chat channel. So you can really decide how to build it, and everything is stored over there, and you can find it easily after. So that's about that's Slack. And obviously Zoom, which until a year ago not so many people knew about, until COVID came in, and suddenly who doesn't know about Zoom. So that it's still free, unless you have a very big team, and then you're going to the paid version. Sorry, or you want to have conversations more than 40 minutes. So it's definitely, you can use the free version of it, and then you can have you can have videos with your team. I do it all the time. All At least once a week I have a Zoom meeting with my team, with any of our managers. So I think it's important not just to have WhatsApp or emails, but also to see the person that you're working with, to understand who they are, and to get personal with it, and not just working remotely. So these are just some questions that I'm asked about communication. Managing your VAs. Now, there are several tools that you should know that exist that would make your life easier. First of all, Google Docs. I think it's much better than using Excel and emails, and then trying to find. Yes, you can use emails, but that your documents should be stored on the cloud. It's easier like that. Your VA could see it. You could see it. It's kept over there. If you want to change your VA after, you can just decide to stop their permission, and give it to your new VA. Wikis, building SOPs, all that is a major thing when working with VAs, and it's something that VAs should be doing for you. I'm my SOPs at VAA, they're all built by the VAs. It's not that I have to spend time, hours and hours on creating all the procedures. I'm actually delegating this task to our operation manager, and she's the one responsible for creating all the SOPs, and that way it's even easier for me to see if she completely understood everything we talked about, and I approve it, and then it's there already for the next VAs, and to enlarge your team. So that's about the wiki. Trello and Asana. I want to show both of them. Basically, two tools that are very much common for remote working. Both of them have free versions, and they're great. So sorry, let me drink for a second. So these two options, it's either way. I mean, I used to work with Trello in the beginning, then switch to Asana. I see more and more people working with Asana, but it's really something that we teach our VAs of how to use both of them, and it's making your life much easier. You can create your task list over there, drag a task from one day to the other, building like a board with the task, deciding creating channels for different type of VAs. So it's terrific, and it's definitely something that you should look into when working with VAs. Monitoring and security. People ask me like, how should I give my VA permission? Should I give my VA my user permission, my username and password for Sell Essential? The answer is obviously no. You should never give your username and password to your VA. That would get you suspended, and it's not secure. The way to do it is to create a user permission. It's an option that exists inside Sell Essential. You're creating a permission for your VA, and you're deciding exactly what your VA should be doing, which tasks, which field, which menus he or she will be able to edit and work on, and which menus she would not even be able to see. For example, you can decide that you would never be able to see how many, what's your next payment from Amazon, or what's obviously your payment, your credit card information, all that. It will not be even accessible for her or for him to watch. So it's very easy to use, and you can decide exactly, and you can change it from one time to the other, or deny access to your VAs. So that's the way to do it, and it's making things much more secure. The second thing I wanted to talk about is using monitoring devices. It's a topic by itself, whether or not to use it, but I just wanted to show that it exists. There is HubStuff, there is Time Doctor. It costs about $10 a month, and it will allow you to be the big brother. If I'm using it, the answer is no. I'm not using these type of tools, because I prefer to work with my VAs on trust, and to build for them like targets and goals, and to watch, get the reports from them every day, and to see how they advance from one week to the other. But you should know that it's definitely out there, and it will give you all the information you need about what your VA has been doing. From looking at screenshots to seeing how active your VA was, of how much time they clicked on the mouse and moved and clicked on the keyboard within an hour, and where they're talking from. You can see everything. So it exists, and sometimes it will make your life easier, especially if the work is something that you cannot really estimate in a report. For example, looking for a new product, the VA can tell you she worked for 3 hours, she didn't find anything. So sometimes you should, if you're concerned, that this tool exists. Now, just we're going to wrap it up, and by talking about the biggest problems that Amazon sellers encounter once they decided taking a VA. The first problem is, where do I find a good and trusted VA? That was the problem for me. That I thought that I figured it out. I had so many people applying, but in the end of the day, they did not turn out to be that good, or I could not count on what they talked, what they mentioned on their CVs, and what they said about their experience and all that. So how could I find, and where could I find good and trusted VAs? And the second question that sellers are asking, and including myself in the beginning, is, who has the time to teach her on Amazon? This is what took me about a month to train somebody, and then she disappeared with the knowledge, and then I had to go all over again, with the second VA. So these are the two problems that I encountered when I started working with VAs, and these are actually what we're trying to do here on VAA. And actually, it's amazing how these two problems stop so many sellers into taking VAs. They've tried it before. They didn't find a good VA, and they just or they wasted too much time, or they saw from the very beginning that they cannot put the time and effort into training their VAs on Amazon, and then they just gave up. But like we talked about this entire hour, if you want to grow your business, if you want it to be successful, then sooner or later you will have to understand that delegation is a key element here in making it happen. So that's exactly why we've created the VAA. VAA stands for Virtual Assistant Academy. We specialize in matching Amazon sellers, with virtual assistants from the Philippines. All our VAs, they're all Filipinos. They undergo a very intensive screening process that takes us almost 2 months until we complete with us, and deciding if they're good or not. We're not just looking at their results in a given test, or ask them about their experience. We're looking for their motivation level, how dedicated they are, if they're here to stay with you for years to come, if they're capable of learning complicated things and apply them without mistakes. All these things, it takes time to see in a person, but in the end of this process, we're left with just a few that we know that will become great VAs. And then they go to the second step, which is the Amazon training. We train them on Amazon. We have different departments, and it's actually the same things that I've talked in here, because that's the way that I needed my VAs to work for me. As an Amazon seller, we have the PPC department, the social media department, and the Amazon department, and graphic designer departments. And we're making sure that the integration with the sellers is as smooth as possible. So we're going to have somebody working together with you to make sure that you're optimizing your way with your VA, answering all your questions, making sure that things are working the way it should. If there are any problems, then making sure to solve them. And most important, we continue to train our VAs all year long. There are always updates on Amazon, always new features, on PPC, new buttons and new changes in the TOS. So we cannot count on the VAs to stay with their knowledge from the beginning. And we have a training department and team leaders and managers all there to support the level of the VAs and making sure that they continue to progress, and they're always aware of any change on Amazon. So that's pretty much about us. If you have more questions, I will be happy to answer. And I also mentioned here, some ways to contact us.
Awesome. Love it. I love that you already have folks that are trained up on these processes, and that you have kind of a way to hire these folks for these various processes, and you simplify it for these guys. Something that Lisa brought up was that trust can be an important issue. She said a worry is that a product researcher or product sourcing person will resell the information. She said in a Facebook group that she manages, sellers complain about this. Is there, there isn't really a whole lot you can do about that. The thing is, what you can do is you can just hire someone to research for you, and then you make the ultimate decisions on products after that, right? Because everyone can come to the same conclusions for products after researching, but ultimately you as a business owner can make the decision on how you're going to differentiate that product, how you're going to launch it, all of that. And that, I don't know, is not as much of a worry then. But what do you think about that, Gilad?
Well, there are two answers here. One is the technical aspect of it. So it means that yes, we all our VAs, they sign an NDA contract, and they know that they're not to discover anything, with they work with their seller, and not even to us. We're not exposed to any information between the VA and the seller. They're reporting directly to the sellers. The second answer would be, it all depends on two things. One is that you have to understand when deciding to delegate, then you're taking a risk. It always has been, always will. It doesn't matter if that person is going to sit next to you in the office or going to be working for you remotely from the Philippines. It's a risk, and you have to understand that growing with your business means taking risks. So the question now, after you understand that, is like how you find VAs that you could trust on, and that's all depend on the recruitment process. I think so you have to understand, to find VAs that you see that they are dedicated, to see that they're all in for your business, that they want to become a part of your business, and then it's up to you to really show them that you're here for them. That trust is not just one way. Trust goes both ways. You have to show your VA, that you're here for them. You're not going to fire them next week. You're looking for somebody to stay with you for years to come, and that will grow with the business and will have better opportunities, payment opportunities, and that's all about it. Once you have VAs that that you can count on them, that they're high level VAs, and this is why we're not taking any VA just according to the lowest rate, and we're dedicating ourselves to find good VAs that we can trust on, and then we're making it possible for them to understand that this is where they want to be. VAA is first of all a community. For us, the most important thing is to make sure that our VAs, they stay with us for years. So we do everything in our power to that they know that this is their home. We celebrate their birthdays. We have events in the Philippines. The managers, they're all meeting up in the Philippines. We have Zoom social events and gatherings, so they really feel connected to where they are, and it makes them you know connected to your business, instead of not feeling connected, working out there, and then just deciding to leave because they're not really feeling anything related to your business.
So, when somebody uses a business like yours, right? When somebody comes to VAA Philippines and uses a service like this to hire a VA that's already trained and can really help them on specific areas of their business, how do you remove the risk? Right. So let's say I hire somebody from you and they're doing great, but then they don't work out, or it's just not a good fit anymore, or something like that. What? How do you help with the risk of taking a chance on a service that's already trained these VAs?
Well, I mean, the answer would be that, like I said before, when you put when you decided the recruitment process is the most important thing, even more than the training. Then this is why it takes us so much time into finding our VAs. Then you already have solved half of the problem, because you're looking for VAs that are serious enough to stay. But after that, when somebody is working with you, then you have to make them feel like they're connected to your business. What we do is, if a VA, if things do not work out, then the like I said before, we connect the seller with a staff member from VAA, even before meeting their VAs. Before taking a PPC VA, the seller would meet the PPC department manager. Her job will be to go deeper into understanding your needs, not just about the types of work that needs to be done, but really, like, who are you as a person, what is important to you, and then connecting you with the right match for you, knowing all her VAs. And if things do not work out, we are here to support. So we're going to connect you with a different VA within a day, and making sure we understand what went wrong and how we can fix it. And if maybe sometimes the VA was perfect, but things did not work out on the personal level. The seller just did not connect to the character of the VA. So we're gonna replace the VA, and making sure that the transition will be as smooth as possible. So that's really something that we also do, and we have to do on a regular basis.
Got it. Well, it sounds like everyone does not have an excuse. They don't have an excuse to get started and work with VAs that are already trained to work in their business, and reach out to VAA Philippines, give them a shot. Thank you, Gil, for being on today and for helping us understand who we can hire, what kinds of things they can do, and how we can all grow our businesses in a super positive way. I know I'm excited about the social media VA, because I think that is something that you've already got them trained for, and that's something that all of us are trying to do a little bit more of, especially during the holiday season, get that external traffic going. So, I think all of us will be reaching out to you for that. Hopefully you have enough to fill the need.
We always have VAs available. I said it takes us 2 months. It doesn't mean that we have to wait now 2 months until we find the right person for you. We always have VAs available. And thanks for having me. It was great. And I'll be happy also to answer, if people have, even if you're just starting out and you have questions about how to work with VAs, and things that you want to know for later on in the future, I'll be happy to schedule a meeting and talk about it. My pleasure.
Amazing. Well, we'll hold you to that. We appreciate it so much, Gil. Thank you for being here. And thanks to everyone for subscribing, for watching these Tip Tuesday live streams. Today we have a podcast in an hour here. So definitely go to sellerroundtable.com/live if you want to join us on the podcast today. In 1 hour, we'll be there. I believe we're with Pearl from First Choice Shipping today. So you guys can learn how to get your products moved domestically a lot quicker. So see you guys then. And thanks again for subscribing. And thanks again, Gil, for joining me. Bye, everybody.
Thanks for having me.
Have a great day.
Bye bye. Take care, guys.